a hope for the nation. This is not a pulpit, and I am not an orator. Neither is this a platform, and I an entertainer. This is an altar, and I am a priest, called to offer a sacrifice at such a time as this. Called by God, not elected by men. Otherwise, I would have to campaign to be voted in. I would have to blow my trumpet even if it was forbidden. I would have to indulge the crowds with eloquent but cunning words, so full of promise, yet heavily deficient in strategy and only concerned about opinion polls rather than purpose goals. I would have to foster division by building bridges in my initiatives. I would have to become a hypocrite, gathering masses in the midst of a contagious pandemic in order to sell my selfish agenda while exposing them to life-threatening dangers. I would quarantine their minds in ignorance by socially distancing them from knowledge through propaganda. I would have to masquerade as a first-line worker, spreading the virus to the public while wearing personal protective equipment so as to mask my identity as a wolf under sheep's clothing. Yet, this would only be possible in a country and not in a nation. Because you see, when a country becomes a nation, its citizens become patriots, more concerned about reflecting God's will rather than feeding on and exploiting the breast milk of their motherland. When a country becomes a nation, tribes stop killing each other for a share of the national cake because they realize that their differences are actually an oven which they can use to make a bigger bake. When a country becomes a nation, birth certificates become symbols of death because people turn into martyrs, ready to sacrifice their lives in love so as to conquer the divisive hate. When a country becomes a nation, fingerprints are no longer taken for identification because God's fingerprints his mark of redemption on a people he takes as his own possession. When a country becomes a nation, its constitution transforms from just a bill of rights into a system for correction of wrongs, and its anthem becomes more than just a song. When a country becomes a nation, it stops choosing its leaders through secret ballot because voting becomes an open book exam, a process just meant to confirm that our supreme leader is actually the great I am. When a country becomes a nation, it turns from an it to a she and starts being defined not just by the brightness of her future but the richness of her past. When a country becomes a nation, national holidays cease to be defined by political gatherings because husbands begin to gather rings and fall on one knee since they are more concerned about the well-being of their families rather than the well being dug by cunning politicians so as to trap them in. When a country becomes a nation, corruption is eradicated from within as a sin that does not only reap public funds but also robs the republic sons of their future harvest and the opportunity to harness the richness of their talents. When a country becomes a nation, her flag ceases to be known as just a rag of colors. Rather, it becomes a symbol of balance that embodies God's purpose and changes her children from being identified as hustlers to being called as servants. When a country becomes a nation, these are the words her heart consistently mentions. As life is a battle and the mind a battlefield, so am I, yours truly, Charles Arnold, the mouthpiece. God bless you.